All right. Well, first thing we have to do for the trip is to do a little bit of pre-flight stuff, and since I fly VFR, the planning is usually pretty simple. I use a couple different things here. I use an iPad before flight, so I check some stuff on there, but I don't really have it set up to do any recording and stuff like that. But if you're familiar with ForeFlight, you kind of know what you get out of that. But you can get basically the same kind of information here too. One of the things that I signed up for a while back is this service called Weathermeister, and I think I pay like $49.95 a year or something like that. But the service is really pretty incredible, and I really enjoy using it because it compiles just an immense amount of data into one particular spot when you're actually doing the pre-flight stuff. And so there's a couple of things you can do if you just want to do some sightseeing around, where my home base is here. The default screen here, I can just click go, and here's my home base here in Central Texas, and then I can just very quickly scroll down here, and I can start to see all the airports that are in this 150-mile radius of me, and I can basically get whether it's VFR, sky conditions, wind conditions, dew point, all these other different kinds of things. So it's pretty cool there. And then the other thing, we get here some PIREP stuff, which is really cool. Additional air reports, surface conditions, some radar stuff, more radar stuff. This one's pretty good too, where you can see IFR conditions, icing, things like that. So right now it's IFR down on the coast right now. And then just a bunch of other stuff here. This is pretty cool too, where you can actually see, like if you're using flightplan.com or something, you can actually do the same thing here where you can see winds at various spots, and this will get even more interesting when we actually do the flight plan. All the TAFs for all these different areas as well. And then finally down at the bottom, I use this quite a bit, this little piece right here. So this is the forecast. And so this goes in 3-hour increments and basically shows what the wind conditions are going to be. This part over here is pretty interesting too, and it's usually pretty accurate, just general cloud cover. And then of course if there's any chance of precipitation. So fortunately there's not any in my area for the rest of the week, so nothing shows up there. But it just gives you a pretty good idea of also of course density altitude here too, which isn't a big deal now. In fact, when it gets cool, it's actually a negative density altitude. But even here in Central Texas on a really hot summer day, my field elevation is about 800 feet, and on a really hot day it's somewhere around 3,500, maybe 4,000 in that range, depending on other conditions. But that's about as high as the density altitude gets here in Central Texas. So if we go back up, also this thing right here too is pretty cool. This is, I don't know if it's using Skyvector. I'm not sure what he's using here, but this is kind of cool because you can actually get down to street level stuff here just using your mouse to scroll in and out. So this is pretty cool. And so we're traveling down to this area. But what I'll do here is just switch over to Skyvector. And so I'm at Georgetown, and then we're going to go down to down here to Port Aransas. And so you can see, obviously, if you use Skyvector, you can scroll in on that. You can see the METARs and things like that too. But the main thing that I check here, and in this particular case, I'm going to be flying through a number of different, there's a lot of Air Force and Navy training stuff that goes on down here. So as you can see here, there's a lot of MOAs and things like that. So I just want to know where those are. There's a big Air Force base over here in San Antonio, Randolph Air Force Base. So they have a MOA out here too. And then I'll have to traverse it's an interesting TFR right here. Not sure exactly what that's all about. But of course, I'm up here just north of Austin, Texas. And so I'll have to traverse this, the Class C here. So what I'll do is take off from Georgetown and immediately call the approach for on this 119.0. I'll contact approach. And actually, because I'm going to be over on this side, I'll contact 127.225 approach, and then they'll basically start doing flight following for me. And so somewhere down here, I'll probably get handed off to Houston, I guess. And of course, the place where you can check to see altitudes and hours of operation and stuff like that are on the VFR sectional itself. And so I have a paper copy of this that I check, and then I would talk to traffic control on my way out and just see what's going on in these MOAs. And of course, if you're on flight following, they'll help you and tell you what's going on there too. And then of course, somewhere down here, I'm not sure if I've never flown down here before, so I'm not sure if I would get handed off to the Corpus Christi Class C, the controllers over here, or if they'll just hand me off and let me go VFR once I have visual on the airport down here. So a combination of these two things, we can see here that it's about 175 nautical miles. It should take me in my airplane about an hour and a half or so to get down there. And so if we come back over here and actually do this main weather here, we can actually go do route planning. And this is one that I've used before. It saved it in the route, but you can put destination airport down here. I've got a performance profile for the airplane that I fly. And then you can actually do, when you're going to actually do the departure. I'm not actually going to fly this for a couple days, but we'll be able to look at the weather and kind of get a general outlook. But the weather is supposed to be pretty nice. Of course, I'll come back and check this again when it's time to do that. So let's go down to KRAS, which is the Mustang. And so a couple very interesting things here that come up. We get the same distance there that we got before, our magnetic course, the departure time, which isn't accurate. And then, of course, it's going to tell us here the best speed altitude and then the best economy altitude. And it's using that based off the profile that I put in for my computer. And then the other cool thing here, we can see the route, of course. Then we can actually see the elevation profile. So I'm actually flying from Central Texas out to the coast. And, of course, down there it's just about sea level, if not sea level. And here's this flight optimizer piece, which is pretty cool. So this actually goes through a bunch of detail here based on the winds at altitude and gives me an idea of the best place for me to fly. I would obviously fly higher than 3,500. I'm not sure I would go to 11,500. It would depend. I could probably get above some of the MOAs, depending on what's going on for some of those. Any TFRs, it's going to give me some TFR information here. It's going to tell me METARs within 25 miles of the route. So it's going to tell me this is really good too, because sometimes when you're doing flight planning, it's clear here and it's clear there, but somewhere along the way it's IFR or you got some pretty bad conditions. And so in a spot like this, if I were actually leaving to fly right now, I'd feel really comfortable flying this because the winds are obviously pretty calm all along the route on the ground, and then it's 10 miles visibility, 7 miles in one spot, but pretty much unlimited visibility and clear skies. All the same things here with regards to the maps and things like that and charts. And then, of course, this is that spot where now I was telling you before, which gets pretty interesting. It's actually showing us the tailwind, headwind situation here too. So we can get up to 11,500 and get a pretty stiff tailwind. We could take that particular route. And then here's the forecast for both Georgetown and out at the coast, so we can expand these, and we're not going to go till later on in the week, and so we can actually go back and see all the different stuff here that's going on. Any special use airspace here? Here's all the MOA stuff that I was talking about. If you're using the chart, then you got to look it up on the back of the sectional, but with using Weathermeister here, you can actually get all this stuff right here in one spot and see exactly what's going on, and see exactly what you need to do here, and hours of operation, all that kind of stuff. Any NODAMs, there's a lot of NODAMs along the way here, but main ones are, I'd read through all these, of course, but the main ones I'd be looking at would be at my own airport or out there. So a really, really cool program, and for any flight planning, I think it works pretty well to consolidate the information, so you don't have to look in 2 or 3 different places. It even gives you the sectional here if you wanted to dig down into that. All right, so let's get to the flight.